Mike's hot.
Mike's hot. Do you want to do your sound check?
Yeah, this is my little brother's soundtrack though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so credit to Corin.
Corin Harper.
Yeah.
Is that his music page on Facebook?
No, his music page is Corin or @scumbagc.
Okay.
Which is just the best.
Corin
Anyway.
is Corin.
Yeah, so I've got a fuck it. I've got a Polish I've got a Polish sound tech. But it's cool because I've got a Czech one too.
That's great.
That's great.
I'm Alex Ryan.
I'm Alex Vellis.
We have the same first name, and this is episode 4. Episode 4 for the full episode.
Do you know what? This is actually our first month fully of podcasts.
Oh, sick! Yeah, 4 weeks. 4 weeks, baby. And this is our, as it's Halloween, we're going to be getting
a month. Halloween. Spooky.
It is spook. We're gonna get a little bit spooky.
Spooky.
It's gonna be a spooktacular. It's gonna be terrorific.
That's
horror awesome.
Terror good.
It's gonna be a scare extravaganza for you.
Did you think of all of these just then?
I'm working on it. I'm trying to think. It's actually quite hard to do scary puns. It'll be a thriller.
Oh mate, banger! It's a banger.
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
This is Michael Jackson songs.
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
Yeah. So, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna bring up some like
never explained what you're doing.
unexplained, scary, creepy things. We're gonna talk about them, and Bush is gonna talk about what Alex Vallis is gonna talk about what's actually scarier, which is real life.
Yes, real life is bad. It's always more terrifying. Like,
that's the title of your forthcoming book.
Real life
I've gone from everything is terrible to real life is bad.
Real life is dramatic pause.
Bad.
Uncomfortable silence. Pause. Bad.
Self-conscious laughter. Bad.
Forever alone.
Yeah.
And then also we've got some people that have written in with messages and things on Twitter and.
Oh, that's fine. We should probably put our phones on airplane mode.
I know. I just kept one further away.
Oh yeah, that'll work. I'll put mine on charge as well. That's not for the podcast. That's just because it needs battery.
Funsies. God, your phone's a piece of shit.
Hey.
Anyway, so
that's not the sound of someone who wants Apple money.
I don't. I do.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Lucozade, soon to be Bazookarade, which I tweeted them earlier, asking them to make Lucozade into Bazookarade. I'm presuming it will just be high in caffeine and amphetamines.
It's got a lot of stuff in it.
Amphetawins, because it's in Bazookarade. It will literally blow your fucking socks off. That's actually, I think
that's quite good.
Yeah. Bazookarade.
We'll only be able to run these adverts after the watershed, after like 9 PM, and before porn videos or over 18 YouTube content, which is essentially similar.
Essentially similar.
It's often the same. There you go.
Fewer.
I'm going to kick it off. I've got three little stories here.
Oh, can we just do a quick thing actually? If you notice carefully, this is Alex Ryan's. I know obviously to the people on the podcast you can't see this, but this is Alex Ryan's notepad. Now Alex Ryan has single-handedly the worst handwriting in the world. It looks like he is a serial killer. So
it looks like you'd find it on the like the police would find it on the walls of like a dilapidated building after
scrolled in perhaps blood. Where's a good part where it's just you screaming "fuck" on paper? Here's some more. This is all maths.
The day of Trump's inauguration.
I'll tell you what. This one's my favourite, as it just says "quick maths" here. Can you see that?
I think I've written it a few more times. I have. If you look, quick maths. It's everywhere.
It's like you've been playing Hangman by yourself. Yeah, so
you could say it's a little bit spooky.
It is a little bit spooky. It's a little bit.
This is the last time I bring notes. I bring preparation because when I do,
that's just the.
Yeah, no. So for the benefit of people on the podcast and I guess people who would like some context, this is scrawled in like big letters. It says, "Please wake me," and then it's meant to be an @ sign, but it looks kind of like a bad galaxy. "Please wake me at Faversham." Then in brackets, I just wrote "please" again.
Wake me up.
Because I was on the train coming back from London and I screwed up last time I was on the train back from London or the time before that and I fell out asleep on the train. I didn't fall off the train. I fell asleep, and I wound up waking up at Ramsgate, and it was like fucking really expensive cab ride back. So I wanted to get woken up, but the downside is it worked. I did fall asleep, and I had my hand on the thing, and the conductor kind of came along and jogged me around a little bit. Because I was asleep, and I was like, when you wake up, you have weird reactions. I woke up and I went, "Oh no!" It flailed around, and she kind of was a little bit taken aback by the whole thing. But anyway, thank you to the Southeastern Rail conductor who was working the train, the 7 minutes past midnight train from London Victoria to Ramsgate the other night, because you saved me some money.
This
where it just says
fuck over and over again.
Fuck repeat. Yeah, I was trying to learn some quick maths.
It worked well, mate. It's gone well. I mean, this is definitely... There we go. That's the one I was looking for. The one that says, why, fuck. It looks like it says Willy a few times, and then fucky.
Fucky!
Look. Why, fuck, Willy, fucky.
Willy, fucky.
Quick maths. So,
that's 3. Give it back.
As a fine example, real life is more terrifying than anything.
I'll tell you what's scary is maths.
Maths is scary. I'm dyscalculate, mate, so this is all just like... I mean, it's already incoherent scrawlings, but for me particularly...
This is the notes I took for the timestamps for the last podcast. This is a lot of scribbling.
You don't even have a degree or like a master's, do you?
It's all a lie.
It just gave them to you out of pity.
I just scared them. I was like, here's my essay. And it was just like the word death written in different fonts for 40 pages, and they're like, just give him a decent enough mark that he backs down.
It was just the number 1 written 10,000?
10,000.
10,000 times.
Okay, so I've got three spooky unexplained things here.
Okay.
Which one do you want to start with?
Does that say Quave?
Nope. I don't know what it does say. This is going to be fun.
At UVE?
Yeah, no, UVC. Okay, so this is the girl. We talked about it just now, right? Eliza Tam. This was a big story on the internet a few years ago. She died. Sadly.
This was actually very spooky.
This
I
is
remember
genuine.
seeing the footage for it.
Yeah. So the story is there's this girl, Eliza Lam, sorry, and she's Canadian. She's at University of Vancouver. She's not anymore. She's dead, but she was. She was at the University of Vancouver.
Does that make you alumni
and
if you
die? I think you have to graduate. I imagine they're not going to hold it away from her. It would be quite insensitive.
So she gets it like posthumously?
I don't know. I just don't know what happens when university.
Actually, do you think anyone even cares? Like, do you think her parents were just like, "Oh man, she's dead. Like, what are we gonna do?" Did she get a degree?
She had really overbearing parents. I'm not having my daughter die without a bloody degree.
Because she was also like she was also quite suicidal, wasn't she?
So
from not borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder.
Yeah, people. Okay, so what happens is this girl's traveling, and she's in a hotel in downtown Los Angeles, and they find her body on the roof in the water tank, and she's floating there, she's drowned, and they found it because guests started complaining about the quality of the water.
And it's not like the quality of the water being like, oh, it's a bit like murky or something. The water was coming out black, and people had still been drinking it.
Yeah, so
that's
her body's been up there
for quite some time.
Right.
It's quite clearly like deteriorated.
So as it is, sad, bad, but it gets weirder. She's found in this water tank, and she's naked and all her personal effects are strewn around her, and obviously she's drowned because she's in a fucking water tank.
Yeah.
And the coroner takes 4 months to produce a report because they just can't figure it out. This water tank, I think, is locked from the outside.
Yeah, it's completely sealed.
And they're thinking, okay, well, there's some bloody foul play that's going on here. This is weird. And this is the footage you've seen, right? So the last sighting of her is on this security camera footage where she's in the elevator at the building, and she's like getting in and getting out of it, and like pressing buttons and then gesticulating, and like she's talking to someone.
She's hiding in a corner.
Yeah, she hides at one point, and the elevator, and she stays in the elevator for ages, and she's like hiding and moving around. And that's the last anyone saw of her, and then she just turns up dead. And it's still pretty much unexplained.
Look round the corner, look as if she's trying to see someone or trying to hide from someone.
Yeah.
And then runs away.
Yeah. So it's completely weird behaviour. And obviously, like, any of these things on their own, sad and weird, but not spooky. That's our catchphrase. But none of it adds up. So on the first hand, you're like, okay, maybe she's just been murdered and left in there because it only locks from the outside.
And
but then,
also, she's not. Apparently, the weight of this this water tower hatch thing.
She wouldn't have been able to open it herself. So first glance looks like suicide. Second glance, oh, okay, maybe it's a murder. But there's no one else with her in any of this footage. She's on her own and reacting in a very agitated way.
Apparently, this motel as well was it's famed for being Sketch's old fucking sin.
Seriously.
Yeah. Apparently, it's just like people die there quite regularly.
Jeez. And this was recently as well. This was, I think,
a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
2013.
2013. Yeah, that's when she's found. And there's just no explanation for any of it. And like, the internet obviously jumped on it and kind of went crazy with it because you would. And like, and the problem with this is there's always some rational explanation. So it might be that it's pure coincidence. Maybe she was having an episode, like a bipolar episode, and then also got murdered in unrelated circumstances. But even then, there should be some sort of evidence that someone had done it.
That was it. The other weird thing is that the police ruled it as like, wasn't it like non-suspicious?
So initially, but apparently the coroner took 4 months to produce their report on the whole thing,
which is a pretty long time.
Yeah, that is a long time. And apparently also, the report was frequently like the coroner was like, okay, I'm going to come out with it soon, and then he's like, oh no, something's changed. I can't come out with it. So it was like back and forth for ages.
Do you reckon it was covered up like some sort of?
I don't know. Like,
because from what I remember from the pictures, not that this should be a contributing factor into murders and things like that, but involved within a cover-up or something. She was quite pretty. So
yeah.
Do you think like if there was some sort of cover-up involved, perhaps, then maybe it would be like maybe it's like a politicians
or like just anyone kind of powerful, I guess. It's in LA. It could be the movie business.
I mean, maybe it was Harvey Weinstein. I can't pronounce his last name.
Oh yeah, he's bad.
But like a fucking dickhead.
But even that, like, even if it's a cover up, blah 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 blah, that still doesn't explain the behaviour where she's in and out of the elevator and hiding, and there's no one else on the camera footage, and there's like, yeah, they have pretty good records here, and unless they've like scrubbed or hidden the footage, why would she have been doing that?
Why would they even release that bit?
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna cover it up, just.
Well, maybe it's to throw it off, so
everyone will go down the paranormal route.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the internet's been like, well, it was clearly zombie aliens from like fucking my foot or something.
That's ridiculous. Zombie aliens from your foot would show up on camera.
No, not necessarily, mate. Maybe they've got some sort of like a camo tag.
Invisible zombie aliens.
Get out of here!
Pull the other one. You go too far, sir.
Yeah, sorry, mate. So yeah, that's actually a pretty spooky story. And I think, if I'm honest, I think that actually sort of goes into my realm of conversation on that is a real life thing that's happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like the Russian sleep experiment. Super spooky.
That is pretty spooky. Okay.
Spooky. That was bad.
Spookerific.
Spoop? No.
A spook like a blooper.
Yeah, but like, a scary one though.
A scary blooper.
Yeah, so like, we were going to film the scene but we couldn't because we all got murdered.
And they still release it on like on the bonus features DVD.
Yeah.
We had lots of fun filming this.
I'll tell you what, actually 100% spoopers would be like bloopers from scary stuff. There's something called porn bloopers. Hilarious.
They are really funny.
So funny.
I have actually seen those.
But so it'd be like bloopers from the what's it called, the Blair Dick Project or something.
Is that a porn parody? You know a lot of porn parody names.
Yeah,
I don't tend to watch porn parodies.
Yeah, well, I don't.
Or porn. I like that. That's one of those things that people say and it's always a lie.
Oh mate,
y'all are some godless, lonely people.
Alex and Alex were both heathens. It's weird to think that I get invited to any of the gigs that I go to. Like that I perform at. Let's not talk about them though, because I don't want those.
You don't want to tempt fate.
No.
Those two parts you want. I mean, this is spooky also because the stuff we were talking about, like you bring up Harvey Weinstein, and there are these allegations floating around Hollywood. Like one of the other, like this was more a conspiracy theory, and I often read internet conspiracy theories because they're a lot of fun. But some of them,
Carry on. I said nothing nice.
You know, I edit this, so I will hear what you said.
Hopefully.
This is all on record. You just throw my laptop out the window.
No, I don't want to damage my windows. Actually, I don't think I would. I think if I tried throwing your laptop,
it would just bounce.
Yeah, like my windows are like double.
We've talked about your double glazing before on this podcast. Just really, are you trying to sell the house?
It's by the way, it's a UPVC frame.
What's that?
Ultra poly vinyl coating. I don't know.
Is that good?
I don't know. I've literally just plucked those words out the sky.
Clicked it. Yeah. So one of these conspiracy theories, and there are allegations floating around Hollywood, and obviously there were long time allegations floating about some dark shit in like the Catholic Church and the BBC. I don't know. I don't know what BBC stands for.
Well, it's UPVC, isn't it? Ultra poly.
So it's like a good plastic.
It's like
the windows are made of good plastic, great plastic.
Ultra.
The ultimate plastic.
I wouldn't say ultimate. I mean,
from the ultimate plastic universe.
That would be such a bad universe.
Comic book callback.
Sorry, please continue.
Yeah. So it's like this kind of stuff that there's a lot of like far fetched theories. The one crazy conspiracy theory I found was like the real Miley Cyrus was murdered and replaced in 2010.
I think I've seen that actually.
And it's like that's quirky and stupid, but the background to it is basically based on child sex abuse among Disney people and like in the Hollywood film industry and stuff like that. Once you start to cross over from well, this is a bit of fun and it's unexplained into oh actually so like with this Eliza Lamb thing, a girl died, like that is awful anyway, and it kind of does blur the line where you're like oh no, like real dark shit does happen, and also her parents are never going to get an explanation.
I was going to say exactly that. It's like I feel so bad for her parents because like it's one thing to have to bury your own children, I would imagine. But it's another thing to know that you will never have closure for
You're just never going to find out, yeah.
It's actually, honestly, it's incredibly upsetting.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's shit, isn't it? I don't really know where to go on from that.
It's just shit. It's just bad.
It's pure bullshit.
And I guess that bleeds over also into, and this is something that's quite effective about the best, like, scary stories, whether or not they're true, is they'll tap into these sort of real-world adult fears. And one of the greatest adult fears is obviously, you know, people's children. It's like the idea of people you love just getting hurt and you never understanding why. They're they're not being a reason to it, because it's not like, you know, some horror movies kind of satisfy audiences. Like there was that thing, Cabin in the Woods addresses it really well, about how American horror slasher movies need these archetypes. They need the slutty girl needs to get punished, the stoner guy needs to get punished.
This happens in,
This Cabin in the Woods is where they explicitly state it. But it's the same tropes.
Which one's Cabin in the Woods? Is that the one with the gods at the end?
Yeah.
Demons? Yeah.
Love that film.
Totally ruined that film for anyone that hasn't seen it.
I think people know if they're listening to this now, like, they're going to get spoilers.
I only recently watched that film.
I watched it. It came out like 2012, and I only watched it last year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Maybe we're Alex and Alex secretly the same person, but with a split personality disorder that actually allows us to
speak at the same time.
Visually see the other person.
Spooky.
That was Patricia. I don't even know where that's from, but it's a meme.
Patricia?
Yeah. You've seen that? It's got a picture of that fucking guy that I can't remember the name of. Like, you're the ones with the names and the dates.
This is some bloody groundbreaking content right here. That bloody guy, Patricia.
Listen,
that old boy.
I can guarantee that whoever is going to watch or listen to this will know what I'm talking about.
That's a pretty bold statement.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. Can't remember his name. Can't remember the fucking actor's name. It's really famous.
What is the context of the meme?
Okay, so the meme exists saying when you go out and do something stupid on a Friday night and then you don't remember and your friends come back and tell you the following day and you say, that wasn't me, that was Patricia.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right, but it's an actor.
Yes, it is an actor. You're doing that weird splitting word thing again. Laptop. Cactor.
Cactus.
Cactus. Chartreuse. That's it. I've been trying to remember that goddamn word for fucking 3 weeks.
That's a great word. It looks beautiful.
Also, it's not chartreuse. That's a different thing.
Chartreuse?
No. I drank this this like orangey sort of flavoured alcohol from Tunisia that a friend of mine.
You told me about this. Yeah.
I thought it was called chartreuse, but that's the one that's like sort of fiery.
Yeah.
But
is this the one that
they used to mix with torpedo oil to like
make it go down smoother, which says a lot because we were talking about Bazooka Age earlier. I mean, thinking what we could put in it. I mean, I want it to get really industrial. Like there's like grease and oil and maybe like spent fuel rods and stuff in there. And you brought up this drink that is actually real. Yeah, isn't it like really viscous as well? It's like
no. That was a different one. I drank this weird drink when I was 14 or so. You know when you go around like your mate's house, And they're just like, yeah,
No.
go on, this. Okay, anyway, so you know when you go around, well, you can imagine what it's like to go around your mate's house.
I imagine it's great.
They're like, you're like 14, they go like, yeah, let's raid our parents' alcohol cupboard. And which we can just clarify very much as a class thing. Cause,
because your parents have an alcohol cupboard.
Yeah, my parents had a fridge that had cans of K-Cider in it.
Oh, yeah. Did you rob it?
No, not at all.
Apparently
you don't rob people that drink K-Cider like, out of choice.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, but so this drink that I was drinking was it looked just like a tumbler of Coke, but if you put your finger in it, it was sort of viscous, like oil.
Were you drinking oil?
Maybe, but probably not unless oil's alcoholic.
Actually, if I was a parent, and I shouldn't be.
Clearly, by the way, this conversation.
If I were, I would definitely. I'd have like some regular booze in there, and some stuff that you just shouldn't drink. Not like bleach, not like stuff that would kill them, but like stuff that would be really unpleasant. And then I'd know if they've been robbing my cabinet, like maybe something that would turn them green or something.
Okay.
Cans of Bazooka Aid in there.
We should definitely make Bazooka Aid. Do you reckon Lucas Aid Energy's tweeted you back?
Nah.
I really fucking hope they do.
But great idea, man.
Cool. We're not going to credit you for this.
Great idea. Thanks for it.
Oh, I tell you what, I've got a spooky story that I heard when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's made up or not. It might be based on truth, but it might not be.
Go for it.
So I remember when I was much younger, and I had older siblings or an older sibling who clearly hated me, judging by this story. And I have a really, really overactive imagination. I don't watch horror films and things like that because I get scared really easily. So please don't scare me. That's not the story.
Is that the end of the story?
No. I'll tell you, just as an example of like how much my older sibling did not like me. We were once playing a game in the back garden, and my mother had to come and run out because my sister had hanged me.
What was the game?
I don't know. I was 2. So,
fucking hell.
Yeah, my sister was 6, so it's not like she didn't know the difference between right or wrong. Anyway, so that's just that sort of level. So obviously,
pretty dark.
It is pretty dark, pretty spooky. So obviously, the best way to get back at someone, the best way to get someone to be afraid of or whatever, is to play psychological games with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So what my sister did is she told me a story about a couple that had just got married. You know, the standard sort of on your nicest day, you're driving away from the wedding land chapel, and yeah, I couldn't remember the word.
Is Wedding Land a theme park?
Yeah,
it's just Las Vegas.
Wedding Land is where divorcees go to like feel bad about themselves.
I don't think they need to go anywhere for that.
I don't know, mate.
Some divorced people are happy. Happier than me.
They're the ones that died. Anyway.
Some of them.
Maybe.
So yeah, this couple are driving back in their car, in their wedding car, cans attached to the back of it. They're wearing their wedding clothes.
Yeah, breakdown. It's beginning to sound like the beginning of Rocky Horror Picture Show, isn't it? Which obviously I wouldn't have known as like a 6-year-old or whatever. Probably. Anyway, so yeah, and they're driving along in this car. Car runs out of fuel. So the guy's like, right, I'm gonna go fucking get some fuel. Like, I'm sure there'll be a place around here. You just rent a car, you have a nap, like, I don't know, do whatever newlyweds do when one of them's alone.
Panic.
Wish for divorce.
Google divorces.
But this was before Google. Remember, when I was 6, we only had like the car had only just been invented.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, you had your Model Ts.
Yeah.
So the guy has to crank it up when he's done.
Henry Ford was still alive. Yes. So and she's sitting there, and then she starts hearing this knocking on the roof. Like, what's that?
Oh no, I've heard a variant of this. Yeah, keep going with this.
So
this is
like
a classic.
Yeah, it is a classic actually. Yeah, so it's just like, what's that noise? And then all these like, and she's like, well, I'm fucking not getting out of this car. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just knocking on the roof. So I'm not going to get out of the car. So eventually, all these other like police cars and that show up, and she's sitting there, looking out across this road, being like, what the fuck is going on here? With still this banging on the roof.
Yeah.
And what they do is the police they call to her and just be like, look, we want you to open the car door whenever you feel most comfortable and run to us. That's all you have to do. And she's like, all right, why? And she's like, no, we're just gonna in your own time, run to us. And after a little while, she's like, well, that seems like a good idea. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. So she opens the car door and she runs out towards these police people. And she turns back to look at her car, and there is this man on the top of it with her husband's severed head through like a spike. And he'd just been smashing it on the.
I heard that.
Don't look so excited.
Oh no, I've got chills. This is like actual. Oh.
And like just like even obviously that's. I say obviously it's probably not a true story.
So there's
imagine how terrifying that would be.
I was looking up some stuff, trying to look up some stuff for this podcast, and that's a variant of a story called The Hook, or like Hook Killer, and the story is. It's been studied as like a piece of American folklore, and it's usually a younger couple, so it's like they're either newlyweds or like they're going to make out point in their car,
some bullshit,
and they like, and in most variants, but there's something like something goes wrong, so that means the guy has to leave the car, and in some of them there's foreshadowing where like they hear a radio broadcast about hook murderer is loose, but I don't like the versions of that because then you're like, I wonder what it could be at the end. You're like. There's a hook murderer. Maybe that was just extraneous information that's not relevant to the story. And it's a case of like, it's either on the roof with the head, or sometimes they hear her knocking on the car and drive off, and then when they get out of the car later on, there's like a hook attached to the door where they were trying to get in. And these stories are just, there's something about them just gets you. I think it's like the isolation and the fact that you just like. It just gets you, doesn't it? It's something about it just scares you.
Did you ever hear the ones? I think these are like specifically English ones about a babysitter that was looking after.
No, but I'm already getting chills. So go for it.
Stuff with like scary kids and it freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Everything fucking freaks me the fuck out. Why am I the one telling these stories? Anyway, so excuse me. That was louder. I thought I threw up in my mouth.
Spoooooky coming out to play.
Yeah, it's all that fucking engine oil I've been drinking.
He just goes out with a straw and like opens cars. You open the little petrol bit.
It's even better if like you open a flame.
I was aging a shirt for my Halloween costume. So it's like an old white shirt, and I was kind of ripping it up, and I used a cheese grater on it to rough it up some.
Yeah.
And I soaked
Did
it
you use
in
the zesting side?
The sharpest one, not the graty grates. It comes out like dusty dust, and it doesn't have an insidey hole. It's like.
Yeah, the one that's for lemon zest.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so I did that, and it looks really good. But while I was aging it, I got it in a big pot with a bunch of tea, like old tea bags and everything, and it came out really like nice and aged. Mum and Dad were like, "What else are you gonna do with it?" And I was like,
"Wear it."
I was thinking I'd like
just ignore that altogether.
I was thinking I'd like soak it in petrol. I said that as a joke, and then Mum was like, she like freaked. She's like, "But you smoke." That's a terrible idea. And I love this image of like, as a Halloween costume, you go as like Petrol Man, and then you have a cigarette, and then you die.
Did I ever tell you about the time I made napalm and accidentally set fire to a tree?
No. Wait, I wanted to make napalm when I was younger.
Piece of piss.
It's so easy.
Yeah, ridiculously easy actually. I can't believe more people haven't blown.
Surprisingly easy to commit war crimes.
Yeah, it is actually. That's spooky.
So you made like napalm, what happened?
Yeah, we were at a house party one evening. Obviously, best place to make napalm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really want everyone to be as drunk as possible when you're handling dangerous chemicals.
Wait, it wasn't.
That's what you want. You want everyone to be really fucked up.
Anyway, so but this napalm, all you do is polystyrene into petrol. The petrol melts down the polystyrene, so you end up with it absorbs the petrol.
Yeah, so you end up with like gloopy fire.
Yeah, essentially. And we're just like, oh look, we've made some napalm. And we set fire to a couple of little things, and obviously it didn't go out very easily. So it's like, oh shit, we can't really put these small fires out. Let's get rid of this. Someone fucking picked it up and threw it away. Right now, that seems like a logical thing. A tiny bit of it went over the fire. Right, fucking sets fire to the whole thing. Goes up a tree, and we're just like, we couldn't put out a small amount of this. We now have a fucking tree on fucking fire
but you
with
described,
napalm.
You described the start of that as like, seems like a reasonable idea. I don't think it is at all reasonable to throw away napalm without looking where you're throwing it, especially if there's an open fire around you. Like, at what point are you like, anyone could have made that mistake? Like, most people would be like, okay, I know there's a fire here. I'm going to look very carefully whether I'm throwing the napalm on the fire or away from it. I think a normal person would have been like, don't throw the napalm on the fire.
Well, you live and learn.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Because some people don't. So what happened with the tree? Did it just burn down? Did you just like leave it? Hope it rained?
Actually, do you know, me and a handful of other people were just like, well, pretty sure this party's coming to a close. Let's leave.
Yeah, that's a smart move at that point. It's
Yeah,
like,
so
it's on your house.
Someone set fire to it. Oh, by the way, there was a pond, which I'm pretty sure that's what they were throwing the napalm into. Which, obviously, also not a very bright idea, because I imagine there were probably fish in that pond. I mean, I can't guarantee that, but...
Yeah, well, also petrol like floats on top of water.
Yeah, I know that now, yeah. Because we had a flaming pond.
I think also, like, you leaving is definitely the rational move there. Not only for your own safety, but you're like, well, I couldn't put it out. I'm not going to do any good. This is no fun.
There's nothing I can do here.
Yeah,
I didn't set it on fire. I wasn't playing with it in the first place. I was just watching.
I've done my bit.
Yeah.
Like,
I will alert someone.
Ignore it, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so we set fire to the tree. The pond was on fire. Other bits were just on fire. We didn't get invited back to that house. That's surprising.
I'm amazed no one died, in all honesty.
Yeah, no.
Wait, did no one die?
I don't think so.
Oh, good.
I mean, I haven't really heard from them since, but that was a very long time ago.
Yeah. And they could have died for, like, incidental reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
like reasons not related to napalm.
I wonder if this podcast is going to go out and then I'm going to get arrested for manslaughter.
No.
Maybe it's like a caution with the police. If it's done like 10 years ago, you're off scot-free.
Anyway, do it again.
So the witch story.
Yeah.
Baby story, whatever the fuck I said it was.
Babysitter.
Yeah, so standard sort of thing. Parents go away, go out for the evening, and there's by the way, I'm steadily trying to remember this as I say it. It's been such a long time because I refused to listen to the story when I was younger because it scared the shit out of me. And this. So you've got a babysitter there, and there is, it's all standard practice. Watching TV, whatever it is that you do when you babysit, look after a baby, I guess. And and then you hear a sound just saying, "Check the baby." And you think to yourself...
I've heard this one as well.
You think to yourself, is this a thought? Did I just think that, or should I... I'll go and check the baby. Just on the off chance.
Yeah, like, why not?
Yeah. And you go upstairs and you check the baby. Baby's totally fine. No, baby's fine. You go back downstairs. After a little while, you hear the same noise. Just sort of like creeping into the back of your mind, just like sort of tickling you. And it's like, what's that? And it just goes, check the baby. And you think to yourself, well, this is actually going to be a little bit creepy, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
A bit spooky.
Spooky.
You go upstairs and you check the baby. Baby's totally fine. And it's like, well, I'm probably just being paranoid, just getting a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter. If you go back downstairs, you've got an hour left to your babysitting. It's like, alright, so everything's getting a bit dull now. I've been watching TV for 4 hours, obviously time before Netflix, in which that was a long time to be watching TV.
Yeah.
But, and then you hear it again. There's that little niggling sound saying, check the baby. And you go upstairs and you go and check in on the baby. And this time I think it was that the baby had just been like, its skin had been stripped from its flesh. It's been turned into ribbons. And there's been no one else in this house at all. There's no windows open. There's nothing. And then the door slowly shuts behind you.
Oh no!
So
fuck!
it's like, what is going on? And you turn around and you're in a room of total darkness with a desecrated baby next to you.
That's gonna be a hard one to explain.
And then just the sound of check the baby over and over again.
Oh fuck!
You try and navigate yourself through this darkness. And that's all I can remember.
Oh fuck!
I didn't
So these stories, it's so interesting. This sort of like, I guess it's like kind of modern day folklore. Yeah. It gets passed around and modified because obviously, and you see like variations on the same theme show up on the internet and all this stuff. And there's some other like creepypasta stuff we could talk about because
Yeah.
a lot of these things use the same tropes, and they're scariest when they're unresolved.
Yeah.
They're scariest when they're unexplained. And I think also saying that the baby is like, you know, you go in there and it's like the skin's been ripped from its body. It's actually scarier if you look at it and you're like, no, it doesn't look wrong, but like something just seems off about it, and maybe you realise it's not breathing or something. Like, but still, like it's the unexplained element and the fact that you're alone, terrifying, and
and
like
terrifying.
And it's almost
Trust
like
me, being alone is terrifying.
yeah, and it's almost like psychological horror as well. It's like gaslighting. It's the idea that someone could, like someone or like even your own brain could just fuck with itself or get fucked with so badly that you would like not know what's real and what's not, and
it's like the psychomantium invention, Chris.
What? What's this? Sorry.
Okay, so a psychomantium is it was used as a way for the ancient Greeks to talk to the dead, and what it is a reflective surface in a low light area, and you look into this mirror or whatever it is. I'm really gassy today.
That's all the Lucozade.
I've been drinking so much Lucozade recently, hence Lucozade tower behind us. But it's quite a lot really.
Pretty spooky.
Yeah. Anyway.
Spookazade.
Oh my god! Spookazade! That is the one, brother! So good. Yeah, we get a little bit council estate there, didn't you? Anyway, so yeah, psychomantium. You look into this like this mirrored thing with low light behind you, and you just concentrate on it. And as I know, like the science behind it is that as you're looking at one thing in low light, your brain basically makes up the rest of the area around you.
Yeah, you get and you start to dissociate as well. The longer you stare at your reflection, your brain starts to look for imperfections.
Yeah,
and starts to distinguish it from you.
Yeah, so you end up with like this intense, like tripping ball sensation from being over. Life hacks.
So, shizzy life hacks.
Quick maths.
This is like some other stuff I was going to talk about, because stuff like that is obviously humans in some way. We want to be scared. We tell stories to scare ourselves and each other. And that sort of psychomantium thing, it's like the archetypal one of these sort of ritual things that are kind of going around the internet. The archetypal one is the classic Bloody Mary, look in the mirror, say Bloody Mary 3 times. But I kind of
tried it when I was bored and had no one to hang out with.
What, did she turn up and then she was like,
Jesus Christ,
you suck. I'm leaving. I can't even stay long enough to murder you. Should have dust hands. No, but these. So there's one that I can kind of remember, and again, the things about these rituals are they're all done with rules. A lot of good like horror stories and sort of scary folklore have rules, and it's the idea that you're kind of playing with something you don't quite understand, and
play with fire, you're gonna get burned. Play with a ghost, you're gonna get spooked.
Play with napalm, burn a tree.
Or a pond.
As they say. That old saying.
Play with napalm, you get banned from a house.
So, there's one that I heard about, and these are all obviously like on this, someone's made them up, and I don't think people actually do them, but even the idea of doing it is pretty creepy. So there's one I heard about called, and it's like a game that you play, it's called like the Midnight Man, and
is it a drinking game?
No.
Not even slightly interested.
I'm not saying we should play it. I don't want to fuck with that shit.
Have you seen the what are the things with the letters and numbers on it that like Ouija boards?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Ouija boards for kids?
What?
Yeah, they're pink.
Okay, I'm gonna find this Midnight Man ritual because it's the rules and the
in that case, I'm gonna tell the story quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
I like the way that I was meant to be doing the real life stories, and instead I'm just doing weird English.
You're coming up with bloody good content.
Pleasant change.
That's weird. Okay, I've just googled Midnight Man ritual, and one of the suggested searches just said, "Is the Midnight Man?" ? It's not a question. No wonder stupid people are googling this. Anyway, yeah, tell your story.
Okay,
so information. So sorry for anyone listening or watching. I just turned to my laptop to look at the Google, and
look at the Google.
This page had a big advert at the top, and it was for Jigsaw. So they got the little saw man. Anyway, I wasn't expecting to see him freak me out a little bit.
Okay, so basically, there's so many variants of this story, and you told one that was in space early action when we were not rehearsing or anything, just like pretending we know what we're doing.
That was from the Clickhole article where they joke about like the joke is like we asked astronauts what it's like to be in space.
Yeah. Now I'll tell this otherwise that one.
Can I just tell one of the other ones? There's that one who's like, yeah, space is great, but gravity still works for me when I'm up here. So it's really depressing to see everyone else bouncing around and I'm stuck on the floor. Excellent. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so this one is you're at your house and your mother calls you upstairs. And as you get to the top of the stairs, you hear another voice. The same one that was calling you up saying, please don't go up there. And you look to the top of the stairs and your mother is saying, hurry, she's behind you. And you look down behind you and it's your mother again saying, that's not me.
This is why twins shouldn't have kids. Because they fuck with them.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Can
you imagine that though?
I was actually, after the break, I was going to come back and do... I'll run through this ritual quickly and there's a couple other stuff. But one other thing, now that we're on like kind of these creepy ideas, have you ever seen the either 2-sentence horror stories or tell a horror story in 5 words?
I have, but I suck at them.
Yeah, but we'll look up some other ones because some of those are pretty good, and we'll kind of talk about how they get into you. Anyway, so this ritual thing, and it's like it's the idea. It's a game people play to scare themselves, and it's like the lore behind it is like allegedly a pagan ritual that they used to punish people. But these rituals are kind of fun, like to see them on the internet because
I do it in 6 words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
She said she'd always love me.
Oh. Was it Whitney Houston?
No, that was my mum.
Is your mum Whitney Houston?
No.
Actually, all credit, Dolly Parton wrote that song.
Oh, did she?
So yeah, here's the rules. It must be. I'm getting this off creepypasta.wikia. Anyway, cite your sources, people. Fake news. Well, it's fucking full of it these days. Prerequisites. Yeah, so it must be exactly 12 a.m. when you begin playing the ritual. You need a candle, piece of paper, writing implement, matches, salt, wooden door, and at least 1 drop of your own blood. And I think, frankly, if you don't have at least 1 drop of your own blood,
you've probably
got bigger problems.
Issues.
Yeah. You can play it with multiple people, but yeah, you can do it anyway. So you write your full name, all your names, first, middle, last.
Does this mean that you only have 1 minute to do it in?
No. Well, you start. It happens after midnight. Anyway. Okay. You put at least 1 drop of blood on the paper, and you allow it to soak in. Turn off all the lights, obviously, because humans are we're dumb apes at the bottom, and we're scared of the dark.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, but we can't see in it.
Exactly.
Lots of stuff hides in the dark.
Exactly.
Like spiders.
And dreams.
You go to your wooden door, place the paper with your name on it in front of the door. You take out the candle and light it and put it on top of the paper. Then you knock on the door 22 times. It's got to be midnight upon the final knock. So basically you have your materials prepared.
And you have 1 minute.
Go to knock 22 times. How long does it take? It's not like you're going 1, 2, you just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, well, just to clarify, you have to have all your stuff ready and then as soon as it hits midnight, drop of blood, knock 22 times. Is that right?
I think you can soak the blood into the paper first.
So no, it says when you start playing this game, it's got to be midnight. So you have 1
No,
minute.
but you can put your materials together beforehand. Anyway, you know, 22 times.
Can you lie to yourself and just be like, I'm not actually playing a game, I just fancy dropping some blood. Oh, you know what, now that I have this drop blood, I'm going to play this game at midnight.
No, you prepare to play it.
Okay, carry on.
It's not absurd to buy tennis rackets because you intend to play tennis in the future. Anyway, so you knock on the door 22 times, then you open the door, blow out the candle, and close the door. And you have just allowed the Midnight Man to enter your house. Ooh. Then you immediately relight your candle, and this is where the game begins.
Have you ever allowed the Midnight Man enter you?
I mean, I think that'd be deeply unpleasant.
Nightman.
You now lurk, fighter of the day man. You now lurk around your completely dark house with the lit candle. Your goal is to avoid the Midnight Man until 3:33 a.m. If your candle ever goes out, that means the Midnight Man is near you. You must relight your candle in the next 10 seconds. If you're not successful in doing this, you must immediately surround yourself with a circle of salt. If you're unsuccessful in both your actions, the Midnight Man will create a hallucination of your greatest fear and bloody rip your organs out.
Ironically, I think like
if you create the circle of salt, you have to remain in there until 3:33. If you successful in relighting your candle, you must continue. So the thing about this game is the reason it'd be scary is because your candle's bound to go out, and you've got 3.5 hours in which that you have to do it, and you're not allowed to turn any of the lights on, and there's all these arbitrary rules. But like, nothing is happening here. But still, how terrified are you going to be wandering around your house with a candle after just doing this occult shit where you like, you know, put a drop of your blood on some paper and knock 22 times, and all the times are important as well.
Well, I've got a couple of questions that are just going to shit all over this.
I'm not saying it's real.
No, I'm just saying, like, one, it will show you your greatest fear. So presumably, if you're doing this sort of thing, one of your greatest, or most people's greatest fears, are being alone, trapped in the dark.
Well, also, it's like you just said about the Greek thing.
Yeah.
Is that your brain will start to hallucinate things, and also it's very easy to get our brains into a state where we're like jumping at shadows.
Yeah. The other thing is, now this one's a bit more sciencey. This question: aren't we technically always surrounded in a circle of salt? It's just a larger circle.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, because we're on an island surrounded by a salty ocean.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, if the bad thing is already inside your circle of salt.
Well, no, because does that mean that I guess it perpetually can't leave, so you will always be trapped with something that can create your greatest fear? Which in turn is something that you've
I'm not really sure
created.
how the occult salt thing. Occult salt. It's a brand. I'm not sure how that works, but that does crop up in a lot of these like horror stories. Is salt
Also,
is
wipe out
allegedly,
all the things that can stop a demon or something like that.
Well, salt just, it's got significance in like long-running pagan traditions. This isn't just something they've made up.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, it's like, why does it have that significance?
I did look it up. I can't remember why. But there's like lots of rules that like different folklores have. So like, European vampires aren't European What I mean is vampires in European folklore, not like they're like members of the EU. The vampire EU. It's actually doing It's doing a lot better than our EU.
Yeah, it's they're actually part of
they're
it.
not allowed to cross running water, for example.
Really?
There's things like this, like all these kind of natural barriers, and I think it's because salt's like some sort of pure mineral. It's associated with purity. I don't know.
I suppose it was used to like preserve things.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
That might be where it comes from culturally.
Sultrily. No, that does not mean the same thing.
Is that a word?
Yeah, like when you're sultry.
Ah, sultry.
Alright, shall we take a break?
Quick maths.
Yeah, then we'll talk a little bit more about terrifying stuff that probably isn't real. Then we go back, then we can talk about stuff that is real.
Terrifying stuff that is real. Love it. Okay.
Yeah, are we recording?
Bob.
Are we recording?
Hang on.
Bob. I am. Bob.
Okay. So,
Bob. Billie Jean. Bob. Bob.
fuck, what am I done with my charger?
Bob.
Where is it?
Bob was a monster mash. Bob. It's a graveyard bash.
Smash! Jesus
Smash.
Christ!
Bash. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Bullet train!
Alright, let's do some bloody quick scary stories while we lead into the rest.
Okay.
Well, actually, I have one longer one that's quite fun, but also quite sad.
Sounds like my cup of tea.
Okay. But first of all, 6-word stories.
Oh, did we come up with any during the break?
I don't think so.
Other than, what was it? Yeah, she said she'd always love me.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's more sad than anything.
This starts with like stereotypical like I just saw my reflection blink, and then it's like your browser history is public.
That's fucking terrifying.
Scared RedTube. Scared. Fuck. Shared RedTube clip on Facebook.
Why out of all the things in the whole fucking world, why is there like on Pornhub, I'm not going to list off a load of different porn sites, I'm not doing this, but there's an option to share on Facebook.
What's a porn hub?
It's a hub of porn.
What's that? It's like a club you have to be a member of. What is it?
You really don't have to be a member. I mean,
what is it?
What, Pornhub?
Yeah.
I know you're saying this as if you don't know. I'm pretty sure you're...
Guy who doesn't know what porn is. What?
Probably created... Did you know the guy that created Fake Taxi?
Yeah.
His son drinks in Canterbury Wetherspoons.
Really?
Yeah.
I know someone I used to go to school with, his dad like owns YouPorn or something, which I've heard is another porn website.
Actually, I did that whole poem about wanking, so in which at one point I just list off different porn sites.
Actually, I like that poem.
It's
But I didn't
funny.
know I can't remember the porn sites was.
Ghostbusters. Which
Actually,
will make more sense in a bit. Will make more sense as to why I sort of jovially...
Ghostbusters. Dum.
How bad was I at that time just then?
Dum.
Oh, no!
Oh no! None of us are drummers. Okay, so
That's next week.
I quickly ran dry on the short horror stories thing. So
Just try and think of one. We'll all go
I've
around.
got 5 or 6 words. Okay.
Okay, so
or 2 sentences. One or the other.
So just a short story.
But very short.
Okay.
Talking flash fiction here.
Okay.
And the call was coming from inside the house.
What was that one that you said earlier? It was like, my sister says that my mother killed her. My mother says, I never had a sister.
Bum, bum.
Billie Jean.
That is a good one. There's another
one
on a similar line that I just saw, and this is I got these off the internet. If you want credit for your things, don't post it.
There's a poem by a poet. I've forgotten his name.
There's a poem by a poet.
Yes. And
You're not wrong.
thank you. Professional, mate. Professional. Anyway, but what is it? The Little
Mermaid.
No, shut up.
Jumped over.
Last night, upon the stair, I saw a little man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. Oh, how I wish he'd go away.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
There's another one that's on
Rest by themselves.
that's on similar lines to like. You know that one you were saying about with the astronaut guy as well. But
yeah.
It's like so my mother. There's one where it's like I was tucking my kids into bed, and my son's like white as a sheet, and he obviously the actual story's told in fewer words than this, but I can't remember the exact phrasing. He's like, my son's white as a sheet. He's walking off. So my son's white as a sheet, and he goes, Daddy, there's someone under my bed. And I check under the bed, and I see my son there, terrified. And he says, Daddy, there's someone in my bed.
Yeah, fuck that.
At that point, as a parent, you nope the fuck out of there. You're like, I'm done.
It's more terrifying.
Zach and Cody, stop playing around.
It's more terrifying because this guy didn't even have kids.
And it wasn't his house. He just broke into a house filled with twins. Filled with twins. That's a horrifying image. A swarm of twins.
What's the collective noun for twins? A duo?
An inconvenience.
Yeah.
A nightmare of twins.
God, I wish the condom hadn't split twins.
Split condoms don't mean you produce twins.
No, it's because you split it down the middle and then the sperm goes in half and goes out.
Oh yeah, you are right.
Yeah, no, it's a
sex ed.
Well documented fact that.
That's why you got to wear two.
Yeah. Maybe that's what does it.
One on each hand.
One on each leg.
This is the way my daddy masturbates, this is the way I masturbate. Worked out pretty well so far. It worked out pretty well for my family.
We just clarify, we've broken the cameraman. You can't see him, but he's just like sitting in the background like, shit twice and died. Anyway, so this now brings us on to the real life horror.
I have one more unexplained thing that I do want to get through. It's pretty good. This is a UFO one, and it's like most UFO stories are like just some drunk guy was like, I saw a bunch of lights and then I woke up in a field. So he was just wasted.
You just wasted. I can't say that.
The best ones, the kind of ones that make you stop and think, come from like pilots or where there's some kind of official transcript. So this is one. It's known as the Mantell UFO incident. It was in Fort Knox over Kentucky. It was a U.S. Air Force pilot in 1948. 1948 was like a big year for UFOs in the US actually, because they had 47. They had the Roswell thing, which is like mostly bullshit.
But they had a few. Just a quick thing. Do you remember the TV program Roswell?
Never watched it.
Okay, I'm old. I think it was early 2000s, late 90s, something like that. They had Dido singing the introduction. That shows you.
Dido.
Yeah, singing the intro. But I just want to say, for the images plus the music, it's actually a really compelling intro.
Okay.
I genuinely really like it.
I might give it a watch. Yeah. Also, other fun Roswell thing. I saw Bill Clinton interviewed on one of the late night shows. It might have been Jimmy Kimmel, and he said that he's like, well, if I was president, first thing I would do is I would like ask to see the alien files. I'd be like, are there aliens? And Bill Clinton starts laughing. He's like, I kind of did that, yeah. Like at the start of my second term, it was coming up for like 50 years since Roswell, and he kind of asked around with the generals. He was like, come on though, are there aliens? Like the president was like, go on, let me know. You can tell. And he claims there weren't, but you know,
he would claim that though.
Exactly, fucking exactly. Maybe it's
if anything that proves it more.
4-dimensional chess, mate, goes all the way down. So anyway, this this incident really increased the sort of the amount of newspaper coverage over UFOs, because the outcome basically was that a pilot died. So these pilots, I think 3 of them got sent out. Air traffic control read these like unusual readings. You know, in these stories, it's a jerky, strange movement of an object that's like the wrong size and not meant to be there. So they sent out 3 pilots, and one of them, this guy Mantell, he's an experienced flyer at this point as well. He's logged over 2,100 flight hours, and he was honoured from his role in the Normandy landings. So it's like not like a new guy that just.
Like, to clarify, that's more time than I've wasted playing Skyrim.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, no, I wasted 400 hours of my life, and then my account got hacked. And I lost everything.
I think my biggest
one.
one.
Devastated.
I'm about 150 hours into Fallout New Vegas right now. I think that's about as much as
I was like genuinely devastated.
Yeah, I bet.
I was just like.
So this guy spent 5 times as much time flying military planes as you spent playing Skyrim. That's a pretty good comparison, actually.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to die alone.
Yeah. So So anyway,
that one out.
air traffic control spot this like 2,000 hours in flight. It's an object about 250 feet in diameter, and they're like, what's going on? Send out some pilots. And they observe it, and 2 of them, I think one of them runs out of fuel and goes back, and another one is less experienced.
It's a peculiar thing to happen anyway.
He turns back, and I think they might have been in the air anyway. They've been like, can you just send these guys over? Okay. So this guy Mantell proceeds to climb straight after the thing, so the thing moves away and he climbs, and it's so intense that in the end he climbs high enough that he gets hypoxia, passes out, and the plane crashes and he dies. But it's like, obviously it could be a case of he was just seeing things or whatever. But with a flyer that experienced, you would know, he would know exactly how high you can climb before starting to black out or anything. He knows the rules and regulations. So something has put enough fear into him that he basically goes into a near vertical upwards thing after it, to the extent that he dies. And that's another case where the family are never going to get closure, because the official report is, it's just a weather balloon. Always that. That's always the official report. They're like, it was not where it was meant to be or something. But it's like,
how can you put the fear of God into someone so badly?
Yeah.
That they would risk their own life. I said life really strangely there, didn't I?
I don't think so. Live.
Well, we'll see in the playback. And by playback, I mean where I listen to it as I upload it.
Yeah, I spend a good few hours just hearing us talk. But yeah, like it's another one where it's like unexplained, and there are a few similar incidents involving pilots. So some of them are like commercial pilots who report, being escorted by these like weird light things that are moving around impossibly. But this one kind of stood out to me because he's a military flyer. And, they're used to seeing some shit. 'Cause it's like we said this off the air earlier. We were like, if you're at sea alone or in flying a plane, you do see weird shit. Like there's weird atmospheric phenomena, all the rest of it. Like my go-to example is how like sailors were telling stories for centuries of rogue waves, and everyone was like,
rogue wave?
So a rogue wave is just out of nowhere, gigantic wave, just they can come from completely calm seas.
How?
People don't know. Their existence only got confirmed more recently because one of the I think someone had a satellite up, and they it was some kind of project that was involved studying the oceans, and they got all these weird readings where just there's no tsunami, no associated effect, just this huge wall of water just forms in the ocean, and sailors were seeing shit like that, and everyone was like, you old sailors with your stories, that's bullshit. It's like, no, that's actually real. So I think,
do you reckon it's megalodons swimming around underneath?
Probably not, but it's something weird. I'm just saying there's shit people don't know, and I like that this UFO story stood out because it was a very experienced guy, the kind of guy who you wouldn't expect to just be some kind of crackpot. He's not like some... Because I was scrolling through the Wikipedia page list of UFO sightings, and some of them are very bullshit. There's one who's like, a factory worker was alone leaving the site, and he reported seeing 3 little green men, and one of them fired a beam at him. How does that even get on the Wikipedia page? No evidence at all. Whereas this one, there's a crashed plane and a dead pilot as evidence, and air traffic control we did send the pilots out to read this thing we didn't know what it was about.
Was there any sort of radio transmission?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Ooh, I've got a good true weird thing.
Yeah.
So I want to call it the deep space noise. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, I think vaguely, yeah.
For I can't remember any of the details on this, unfortunately, like the actual accurate details. So basically in like, let's say 2008, because I think it's sometime around then. Are you going to Google it?
I'm going to try to, but you keep talking.
Yeah, there was a sound from deep space. There was recorded by, what's the massive antenna?
Oh.
Did you just Google deep space noise creepy sound?
No.
You did, didn't you?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Okay, hang on. I'll try and Google it.
Yeah. Because
it's actually very, very interesting. Like, nobody knows where this, apart from deep space, nobody knows where the sound comes from.
7 bizarre sounds from outer space. Oh, this is just how things sound weirdly. Oh, no, mysterious signals.
Let's have a look. Found it. I don't know how you managed to not find it straight away.
I'm really bad at Googling.
NASA just detects booming sound in deep space, origin unknown. That's boring. According to NASA, the source of this cosmic radio background remains a mystery. It's not primordial stars, it's not any known radio source, and in fact the problem here is that there is not enough radio galaxies to account for the signal. In other words, nothing in the known cosmos is capable of producing this deafening sound. University of Maryland at College Park's Dale Fixin, part of NASA's arcade team, arcades in capital, so I don't know what it stands for, but
No, they just go to play the penny machines.
oh right. Says
that's how NASA responded.
Well, what was NASA?
North American Space America.
I like it. When I first heard that, I thought it was North America. I thought you said North American Space America, Americans.
Oh, I might have done. That might have been what I said.
And I was like, that's hilarious. I want to get that on a t-shirt.
North American Space
Americans.
I like that in my alternate universe, like NASA is just a bunch of guys who like have really like their name is completely meaningless and they just play like arcade. They're on like the fruit machine, like we're gonna go to the moon.
Anyway, so part of NASA's arcade team, so much funnier now, says that to get this kind of signal, you'd have to pack radio galaxies into the universe like sardines. There wouldn't be any space left between one galaxy and the next. So in more scientific terms, they don't have a flying frack, what the hell this may be. There's also this weird image of inside the arcade, which, if I'm completely honest, can you see that? It doesn't look too exciting.
What a boring arcade.
Yeah.
Unless that's one of those coin funnels.
Yeah.
You know, where you drop it and you watch it spin.
That could be
great fun.
The sound has been detected by Arcade, a balloon-borne probe which is chilled to 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. The instrument itself is inside a tank of 500 gallons of liquid helium to reach that temperature, which is the same temperature of the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Holy shit, Lucozade has a lot of sugar in it.
Yeah, mate, so much.
Jesus, okay. These are the values per 100 mils. This is 380 mils. It's got 19% of your recommended daily allowance of sugar.
I drank most of that bottle earlier. That large one.
You are over the line. How big is that bottle?
I don't know.
750 maybe?
But I'll tell you what, here's the one question that's been asked about this that I've seen is, would putting my computer in 500 gallons of liquid helium allow me to run Crisis faster?
I love that humans are both like, you know, we're sending stuff out into space, we're trying to figure out what's going on, and we're also just really dumb. Like, we're just real stupid. It's the, you know, we're the apes who reached for the stars. We're like, it doesn't mean that we're not stupid animals who fill our time with meaningless bullshit. It's just that we're also occasionally, like, technologically advanced enough to seem like we're not.
Yeah, so, but I think that's
the poo throwing of the modern ape.
Sorry. Anyway, back to the point. I think that's the. It's sad that I have to take things away from you.
Fiddle so much. I'm sorry. This must add so much crap background noise. I'm sorry, listeners.
Anyway, so
I'm sorry to both our listeners.
Who, in all fairness, how bad is that? Both of our listeners. There's 3 of us here that have to listen to it.
I mean,
do I?
I
really?
think I'm going to try and like figure out. You know, you can get software that shows how far people listen to, and I want to try and see put it on iTunes and everything.
Yeah.
I guarantee no one's listening to a whole episode. I guarantee it. Like, even both our listeners at this point. If you are listening, send us a message, because you're definitely not.
Thank you, Digby. Anyway, so I think that's actually kind of terrifying that there's a sound coming from space that nobody...
Yeah, and it's... And, like, NASA, the people whose job it is to know about this, the North American Space Americans, are like, we don't have a clue. Like, and not only do they not know...
But for Space Americans, they are doing a piss-poor job.
But by the terms of that article as well, it's like... They're like, not only do we not know, this shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, that's...
that's what's scary about it.
Do you reckon it's something like... imagine like a sonic boom created by a warp drive. Do you reckon it's something like that?
Oh, fuck, maybe. But then this is the thing as well, where like a lot of those kind of smartest minds right now are kind of looking to the future and being like, oh, it is looking pretty sci-fi. But people like... There's divisions, and it's on stuff like
that's
AI and alien existence. What, it's looking pretty sci-fi?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, I don't know though, because I think humans... I'm not sure whether it's pop culture's fault or whether humans, like, I think we tend to perceive change. We tend to assume things will be mostly the same. So we perceive change as, like, linear. We're like, okay, maybe we'll have faster cars or something. But we don't perceive, like, major qualitative changes. And we don't realise that the curve of, like, technological growth can just be crazy like that.
Yeah, well, the more war that we're at, the more wars that happen, rather,
the faster it... Well,
yeah. It
depends. There's, like, an upper limit on that.
Because
if you have an overly devastating war... Then, yeah, it can... push back knowledge.
Counterproductive.
Yeah. But usually war's pretty good.
That's a soundbite.
For technology. But yeah, so the people like, Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking are both like, maybe we shouldn't be trying to contact aliens, because humans don't really have a plan beyond see if there's anything out there. And Stephen Hawking is like, well, any species that would be advanced enough to receive our thing and respond to it would definitely be a threat to us.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should slow it up a bit. I sound really paranoid now, don't I? I sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist.
Wear a tin hat.
Tin foil. Like a tin hat. Big old hat made of tin. Keeps my neck strong. This is me, Tin Hat Al.
What was the...
I bang on my own head sometimes.
Woman with jazz hands.
Oh yeah, this is yesterday. I think I misheard... So Alex Vellis was setting up like was it a poetry event or something?
Yeah.
And I misheard... Oh no, it was Henry, the other
the Workshops guy.
Yeah. But he was talking about some open mic night he went to, and I was like, oh, who performed there? And I like misheard what he said, and I thought he said real woman with jazz hands. And I was like...
Oh, that was me.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Okay, I misheard it, and I heard it as real woman with jazz hands. I was like, that classic character, just a real woman with jazz hands. And she doesn't sing or anything, she just goes, woo! And like the crowd goes fucking mental. She's on stage at an open mic for 10 minutes, just waving her hands about. Everyone's like, it's a real woman!
She's got jazz hands! Oh my god!
She's pushing performance in new and exciting directions.
Have you seen performance art recently?
No.
It pretty much is that.
It's real woman with jazz hands. I was at a festival.
Sometimes it's not even a real woman.
I was at a festival and I saw... I think it was a performance art thing. These people might have just been really high, but I couldn't work out if they were like part of the festival or just there. So there were a bunch of people dressed in like gold capes, gold like superhero costumes.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other people wearing black capes and like, Theresa May masks. And
I really hope they
would run up to each other. Well, I don't know if they were there together or they were just two groups. And they started doing like dance-offs, but they didn't look choreographed. They looked like they were just these people kind of moving around. Like some of them were okay dancers, but they clearly hadn't structured this or planned it. And there wasn't really any music.
Were you even at a festival? Were you just like fucking fucked off your tree, like sitting in your back garden playing in mud?
No, I did see that. I did see this, and there were other witnesses, I imagine, or I hallucinated the whole thing.
Yeah, it sounds like a fever dream. Anyway, so real life spooky stories. So here's one for you. I recently became self-employed, which means for my first year ever in my entire life, I have to do my own taxes.
Ugh.
Now, that may not be spooky in and of itself, but
pretty fucking scary.
It's fucking terrifying. I'm dyscalculate. I get confused between the shapes of numbers and I can't add anything. So, like, those things that you see on Facebook that are just like, oh, what is this equation? And people are like, oh, it's just bod maths. Or,
yeah,
I don't even... Well, for starters, I don't know what that stands for. I think it's brackets and some other stuff.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Thanks. Do good with words. You alright, mate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Drop my ring.
Okay.
Which I shouldn't be playing with.
Yeah. Okay, so
This
Yes.
ring, though, fun fact,
Yeah.
belongs to the daughter of the Vice President of the United States. Charlotte, if you're listening, I have your ring. I stole it 2 years ago. I'm sorry. Continue.
I feel that needs some explaining.
Oh, she was at my uni for a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, good friends. Well, I say good friends. Yeah, I like her. Charlotte, good girl. But I have a ring. She also gave me a jumper, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't wear it. I'm not wearing it now. Just proved it to the camera. I'm not wearing it now, and then I kind of, ooh. Yeah, no, anyway, go on. Bob Maths. Taxes.
Yeah, so... Oh, just to clarify, it's a bit of a shit ring.
Yeah, her hands are really small.
Is
So
it made out of silver?
No, I don't think so.
It's just, dude, this isn't a ring, this is a spring.
It's not a spring.
Dude,
matter.
look.
Mate,
That's a spring.
Don't be buggering my ring. No, her hands are really small. Oh, this is so fucking shit. This is what, the second or third time today? The second or third time in the past 2 hours where I've tried to say something and it's come out sounding like I'm getting fucked in the ass. Because earlier we were talking about relationships and I said that because I don't have very much game and because I'm not really on it, I said I've stumbled ass backwards into every sexual relationship I've ever been in. Which again, so and I'm like, don't be buggering my ring. Oh man.
Oh god. Oh, my side's genuine. I just snotted everywhere. Oh, I'm gonna have to go get some tissue.
Anyway, while he's doing this, I'd like to clarify, Charlotte's fingers are much smaller than mine. This ring, I've had to stretch it out because I've got these big old sausage fingers. So I've had to really expand this ring to get my finger around it. Fuck! I've had to make it wider.
Stop making me laugh, it hurts.
Maybe I have some undiagnosed disease / superpower where it's the power to always say things like I'm talking about gay sex.
Do you think maybe you just want to get bummed by a man? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. You keep alluding to that. Like,
I don't think I do. Well, it just keeps coming out.
Oh, mate. Maybe give it a go. Maybe take that ring out your mouth as well. I mean, we literally have no idea where it's been.
I do. I've had it for like 2 years. Mostly on my hand. Mostly.
Oh, I'm actually going to need a minute, guys.
Don't be buggering me.
The best part is you didn't even realise that that's what you said.
I didn't realise until you laughed.
We like Oh, mate.
Yeah, I'll laugh it up, folks.
Oh, everything hurts so bad. Wow, look at the spike in the air.
That's where we're laughing.
Yeah, there's...
Oh, this is going to be a fun edit. What were we talking about? Maths? Quick maths.
I feel that every now and again I'm just going to laugh, and I'm really sorry for the rest of the podcast. Right, so the real life terror. Oh, actually, no, I'll tell you what, I've got real life terror for you. Like, genuine, horrible sort of thing. 2 things. One, when someone waves in the street, and you wave.
And it's not you.
And it's not you.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I've done that with saying hi to people.
Yeah.
Like, because also I don't wear my glasses out, really. So there are many...
Now.
No, I've got them in my bag. There are many people that I don't actually know what they look like in high definition. So like when I was at uni, because I lived in college for undergrad. So when I was at uni, I just wouldn't wear my glasses. There were people that I tended to recognise people by like the crowd they were with and their gait. Yeah. But I would appear like I was really rude because I wouldn't say hi to people until someone was like right in front of me and I'd be like, oh hi. And then also that's like miles worse when it isn't someone you know. Yes. And you kind of prepare yourself. You're like, I'm going to say, what am I going to say? Will I give him a hey man, or will I go like, what's crack-a-lackin'? Like, will I take?
What's crack-a-lackin'?
It was a poor example. But
actually, being you, is it sure you're not going to say something like, "Hey man, do you want to bum my ring?
Do you want to fuck me in the ass?" Damn.
Sorry, mum. That's not what I meant.
It's like singing happy birthday at parties. I'm like, happy birthday, fuck me in the asshole. Damn!
It's like singing happy birthday at Christmas. Oh, actually, that's another fine example.
Someone says happy birthday and you say
you
you too.
too.
Or like with waiters, like, enjoy the food, you're like, you too.
But, yeah.
Enjoy my leftovers. Lick it, yeah. I want you, yeah. Fucking lick up the
Spit
rest
on
of
me.
my plate.
Fucking spit on me.
Anyway, yeah, here's a tip.
Here's your tip, don't allow me in your restaurant again. No, so things like, like I said, like the waving thing, I've started like trying to own that, like as I feel, you know, that guttural sense of like, oh my god, yeah. And you try and own it by just carry on waving.
Yeah, but like, I'm
waving to someone behind you. I am waving to...
But sometimes they know what's happened and they like look behind them. And there's like either no one there or there's someone else that's like, not me.
Like, I just got to run. But that's the thing, like that sort of thing happens to everyone. Like, it does happen to everyone.
And it's never not mortifying.
Yeah,
no matter how it happens to everyone, and you always think when it happens, you're like, fucking hell. Like,
fucking hate my life.
Yeah, it's awful.
Fucking stupid piece of shit, Alex.
Or like when you see, like, you ever where you see someone just smiling, and you're like, oh, I'll smile at them. Like, that's nice. So you're like, I mean, I can't smile very well. Like, I really don't know how to smile without looking creepy.
The gay guys love it.
But like it's weird that you see someone like smiling and you kind of like smile back, and then again they're not doing it to you. They might just have thought of something funny.
Yeah. And
then they kind of look and they give you this look like that smile wasn't meant for you. Don't respond with a smile of your own.
Have you?
This sounds like a particularly British problem as well.
That does, don't it? Well, we are particularly British.
Yeah, we're pretty British.
Okay, so I've got another one. You know when you remember something embarrassing?
Embarrassing.
Thanks. Embarrassing from when you were younger.
That sounds like, you know, old books used to write S's like F's. It's like embarrassing.
Okay. Anyway,
I wouldn't know what it's like to be embarrassed.
Okay.
So you remember something...
You remember something that's so embarrassing and you re-cringe?
Yeah.
No, like a remember cringe?
Yeah.
Like, you know, for the example, this is actually a story I've never told anyone.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Exclusive content.
Yeah, no, this is just an embarrassing moment that I sometimes look back on, and considering this happened when I was 10, like...
It's like half a century ago.
Yeah, it is. It's actually, you know what, it's 19 years ago.
Fucking hell.
So, yeah, terrifying. But, yeah, the thing was that it was the waving thing. Someone was like, in my classroom when I was 10, there was like how bad is this? There was the blackboard.
I had a blackboard at my old school.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
As I left, they were whiteboards, and then about halfway through high school, they changed to those smart boards, which I hate.
Yeah, we did not have one of those at any point. I did not go to a good school. Anyway, but so there was the blackboard, and then where I sat, you could see out the classroom door, and there was like some sinks at the end of some bullshit. I don't know if people are stop eating PVA glue or whatever it is that they did in my school.
That stuff does smell pretty good, though, doesn't it?
It's not like Play-Doh, though. Play-Doh's the sort of thing that you'd eat.
Me personally, or a person.
I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah. So, and someone was talking to someone, and I even did the like. You know,
hate
point
it.
At you.
Yeah, you point at yourself.
And then they nodded, and I was just like, I don't know what the hell this woman was. I think her name was Chloe. I want to say it was Chloe because at the time I was just like, your name is spelled stupid. That was in my head, obviously. And I made my excuses to go and leave. And I went over and like, what do you want? What's up? And she was like, I wasn't talking to you. And I was like,
oh.
And that was the first.
You're 10 and it's a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
my first moment of like utter rejection from wouldn't be my last. Utter rejection from a woman. I was just like, well, I'm actually going to go and use the toilet.
I wasn't talking to you either.
I think that's how I played it out.
Just double down, style it out.
And that's something that I look back on as an adult, like to being a 10-year-old and think, oh, that's embarrassing.
So do you ever think about stories that have happened from your perspective and how the other person thinks of it?
I try not to.
How do you reckon she tells that story? She was like,
I'm pretty sure she doesn't remember.
Yeah, this kid just walked out of the classroom at me and asked me what I wanted. And I was really freaked out by it because I'd never seen it before in my life. This little 10-year-old kid came up to me and was like, what do you want?
She was also like the same
I thought she was a grown woman.
No!
I thought you just approached... Because kids are scary. I thought you just approached a grown woman and were like, what do you want? I imagine 10-year-old you was a bit like, what?
No, I was really, really polite.
Oh man,
I was actually a really nice kid.
there was just these stories from other people's perspectives. Like,
I don't want to think about this at all anymore. I don't know why I brought this up.
I like it. But I admit, when you said it's a story you've never told anyone, I was expecting it to be like maybe more traumatic.
No, I do tell people those stories. I'm a poet, remember?
Hey,
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a couple more like terrifying real life occurrences. Oh, I'll tell you actually, this one's it's quite close to my heart. When you start, you're getting along with a man or a woman really, really well. Everything's going really, really nicely. You predominantly know each other via the internet. Okay, so like you're friends online or whatever, and you
I
start.
don't really have that, but yeah.
You don't even have friends IRL.
I know. Let's start baby steps.
Anyway, and everything's going swimmingly. And I'm not saying this is something that's happened to me specifically, although I am fully aware that it is something that happens. And it doesn't necessarily have to be online, it could be anything, any situation. So you're chatting to someone, everything's going really, really well. And then you get that fucking moment in which something just clicks in your brain and you're just like, no. So it could be, a friend of mine was telling me about, basically you're talking to someone and then you hear their voice for the first time.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's the worst voice I've ever heard in my life. That sounds like a horse is being like trying to escape the glue.
This is kind of similar. I guess the one I had was I was dating someone.
I know exactly what this story is.
I'm trying to avoid any details. And
yeah.
She was from far away.
Neverland.
I'm not saying where.
I know, that's fine.
She came over to visit, and we've been like talking. We sort of started dating when we met.
I hope
summer,
listen to this.
And she. I shouldn't finish the story, should I?
No,
anyway,
probably not.
When she came out, she looked a little bit different than I remembered, and I was like, Yeah, though this story is much funnier, but it's probably not a for recording story.
Do you want me? Like, I know how the story goes.
No, because if you tell it,
I won't. I'll omit all the things.
No, because the fact of it is still like it's similar to what you said, but there's no way to say it without.
Tell the story.
I was dating someone, and like we've been like swapping messages and pictures, and I was like really, I wasn't that keen to see her, but like
that's probably going to be the worst part of this whole story.
But she was coming out, and I was like, okay, fine, just get through it, and
what is wrong with you?
And I met her, and I was like, Basically, she was less attractive than I remembered and had been expecting and had been led to believe. There were some misleading angles going on in the photos. Why did you even let me start telling this?
I didn't think that you were going to make such a fucking song and dance out of it.
Did you sleep with her?
Oh yeah, of course. But like, all I'm saying is I was just relating to what you said. It wasn't meant to be this long thing.
I'm just going to carry on talking.
Yeah, no, you carry.
Okay, so. I don't even know what to say. Anyway, so real life spooky stuff. Do you know what? Right, this happened this morning to me. You know how obviously real human beings interact with other humans.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm told.
Yeah. So I'm.
You wouldn't know a camera.
What do you fucking know? Digby cunt. That was a bit much.
Steady on.
Sorry.
Digby might be one of our two. You might have just offended 50% of our listening base.
I'm sorry, Digby. Anyway, so
Digby.
Digby with the big D. Nice. Made him feel better.
Hey, there you go. Nice one, Digby, with your big old penis.
Big old dick.
Schlonging around there.
I think Alex likes you a bit more than he.
Like a floppy old lightsaber.
This is getting so weird. Have you seen those condoms that glow in the dark?
I'm imagining it like the pendulum from Harry Potter 3.
Actually, do you know what?
Where like you always imagine that one of the kids is going to be a bit too tall one day, and they're walking out of the thing and just boom, they just get carried away. Because that is a dangerous school, frankly.
It's fucking terrible.
The wizards are the bad guys in Harry Potter, by the way. That's my theory.
Can we just clarify, like, for someone who, purports to not be interested in gay sex, you make like second episode
About American Gods and the
yeah,
dicks.
when you just talked about giant dicks for like 10 minutes.
It was
by yourself.
I maintain that
that was a pretty.
I
Weird
maintain
tangent to
that
go
a
down.
reasonable person would look at that episode, and one of the things they would take away would be there were a lot of dicks in that episode.
There were a lot of dicks in it.
I
but
believe
not 10
that's
minutes of talking about it
what
by
a
yourself.
reasonable person would say. They would say those dicks deserve commentary.
That
Not-
Ifrit's dick was fucking massive. In all fairness,
Well, they were so big. Thank you. Anyway,
that was. Anyway, so this happened to me this morning. I walked into the corner shop and I said I got the Lucasade for today's episode. Also bought some cookies and a scratch card.
while we're here, the cookies we have are foxes. They're not fox. They're the brand foxes. They're not actual just foxes that we eat. We're like, oh, look at this cookie. They're like screaming away. They're like,
Also, they're not owned by foxes.
they belong to foxes. Yes,
Anyway.
they're very good as well.
Yeah. So and I tried fucking the first time ever. I don't know this man.
You tried fucking for the first time ever.
No,
This
listen,
morning.
guys, come on.
How was it?
Raise the tone. Right, so for the first time in my entire life, I decided to try and make idle chit chat with a man that I didn't know at the
Corner store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who was serving me. And
Is it the guy that was there last week? 'Cause
No,
it's very
'cause-
deadpan.
no, like, there's a couple of them. Like I'd never seen this guy before in my life.
Okay, alright.
He reminds me a little. Like, I obviously can't remember what he looks like, but he reminds me a little bit of Mojo from
X-Men.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
That might be the same guy I'm thinking of.
Was he wearing a blue shirt?
I don't know.
I don't think that's part of his like uniform.
I was going to say he can wear a different shirt like it was a week ago.
Yeah. Anyway, so maybe he's got like
Should
a
have
regimented
him on the show.
shirt. We won't fucking say anything.
Exactly.
Definitely not after this next part of the
Okay,
conversation.
so go on.
So I put my stuff down. And I was like, "Oh, can I have a number 2 scratch card?" Like, yeah, here you go. And I tried to just engage in conversation because it's taking a little bit longer. I had to pay on my card, so it was just this utter silence. I was like, "This is what normal people do, Alex. It'll be totally fine. Just say, hello, how's it going?" Something like that. And I said, "Oh, so you've been busy?" And then immediately afterwards I went, "Of course he's not been busy. He's sitting in a shop with nobody in it." Like, not under my
Did you
breath.
say that out loud?
I said that out loud.
Oh, he must think you're a right dick.
Fuck him. And the thing is, it wasn't. You can't. Right, so podcast listeners, you can't obviously see what I'm doing. But it was. I looked at him straight in the eye and went, like, what was it? Like, oh, have you been busy? And then immediately afterwards, looked at the floor or looked at the desk counter thing, held my left hand in a fist, and went, "Of course he's not Alex. There's nobody in the bloody shop," or something to that effect.
That's such a Rain Man thing to do. This guy must have thought you were about to stab him.
And then
But
I
he was,
looked
of course
up-
he's not busy. You've got split personality.
And then I looked up at him, and he said, "What?" And I went, "I'm just talking to myself, mate."
He thinks you were asking if you've been busy.
And I was like, "Oh, why are you like this?" And that's like, this is a thing that just happened.
So he's like...
And I was just like, and then as
I'm
by the
glad
way,
you
as
saved this story for being on the air.
Thank you. As this has happened, right? Fucking someone else has walked in the shop and seen me be like, "Of course he's not. I've been in the shop." And then I didn't want to ask.
What do they like sidle out? I don't know what's going on here.
I didn't want to try and fucking ask for a bag either. So I then had to I got 2 small hands, but I had to hold 3 bottles of Lucasade, a packet of cookies, a scratch card, and something else that I bought.
Sugar.
Sugar.
So you walk out muttering under your breath.
Yeah, no, it's just,
Stupid.
you piece of shit, you piece of shit. And I was just like, "Oh, why have I done this?" So I'm not sure if this is really a spooky section of the story, just like crippling, anxiety-inducing madness.
I think real life though is it's much less spooky scary than it is sad. And the
Spooky
scary
booky.
thing is that if you spooky booky, and the scary thing is that if you stop and think about it, that's going to happen again. Maybe not in exactly the same way, but you're going to do something similar.
Which, usually when I'm totally okay with talking to people in shops. So like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, you've been busy?" And then I don't fucking follow up with, "No,
he hasn't. The fist. Something about the fist.
Whenever I talk to myself, my left hand goes into a fist and I look down. I look like I'm having a fucking fit. Like a proper Rain Man moment.
I was
going to
say that's a
bashing
very
the side
Rain
of my
Man
head.
thing to do.
Yeah, it's just, mate, it's just.
But then, like, I think sometimes.
By the way, it gets worse. But I should have known this was going to happen because as I left my house, I said to myself, "Oh, you've just locked yourself out of the house." Well done, Alex. Like, this is out loud that I said this. Just locked yourself out of the house. Well done, Alex. The shop is like 10 seconds away, by the way. I'm walking across the road and I was like, oh, and you don't have your phone with you, you fucking bellend. The entire time that I'm having this conversation with myself, I'm holding my keys, right? I then say to myself, oh, but it's okay, you're holding your keys. And I'm like, I'm fully fucking aware that I'm holding my keys. I hold my keys every time I leave my house. So I'm fully, like, this whole conversation that I'm having by myself.
I also do this though. I also talk to myself, like, especially if I'm like a bit tired or like.
I'm not even tired. If anything, I'm super buzzed on fucking bazooka. I've drunk so much of it. I haven't slept in 80 years.
Can we work out how much sugar you've had? So.
Literally all of it. There's no sugar left in the world. We're going to be going through a shortage of sugar because Alex fucking Velas has drunk all of the Lucozade. There is none left for anyone else. There is a shortage. We are going mad. People are at war. The economy is crashing.
So that contains 130% of your
in case you hadn't been able to guess that it started digesting.
And this one contains like another 60%.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Maybe lay off it for a bit.
I think I've ruined my life.
It is interesting though, because I think sugar high Alex, could definitely fight drunk Alex. Because you haven't drunk in a month, and I was like, oh, I reckon drunk Alex Velas is more rowdy. I reckon he'd win in a fight. But no, I think sugar high Velas would take him.
Yes, I just need a moment to like suddenly just like lose my shit. Apparently,
yeah, I think so. Maybe once a week.
I just shouted about being at war because of a sugar shortage because I drank it all in the form of bazooka-aid that isn't even real.
So going back to something I said, how do we think the guy at the shop tells that story?
What if he actually tells that story?
I mean, he is a stoic man. He doesn't talk very.
If
he's the same one, if he's the same one I was in there last week.
Looks like Mojo.
I went in there and he was sitting there and he's got his arms folded and he's really kind of fat and he's like sitting there on a high chair behind the counter.
Yeah, it's just
and
the same guy.
And as I'm walking around, he sits there completely silent, just staring ahead. And when you bring the stuff to the counter, he just kind of nods at you. And
I'd asked him a question before that, by the way.
Oh, that's good.
Have you got any sugar?
Yeah.
Which is why I felt the need to engage with him in the first place.
Yeah. So, but while I was doing this, and I went up to pay for my Lucozade and the cookies actually, and
I'm gonna have a cookie. I think I probably had enough sugar, if I'm honest.
He says getting another one. And while I was doing it, I noticed that he had a radio on, and it was like really tinny and quite quiet, and it was playing Katy Perry's Raw. So he's sitting there like, you know, like a granite statue, just completely still. And in the background it's like, I got the eye of the tiger, the fire. And he's like, for all intents and purposes, he looks like he doesn't know that that's happening. So it was very surreal because I'm like, do you know the radio's on? Like,
are you aware that a radio is a thing?
Yeah. He's a strange man, but you have been stranger than him.
I have outstringed.
I'd be surprised if he started giving you a discount or something because he just wants you out of the store. You're like, oh, I haven't got the change. So don't worry about it.
More realistically, I'll get banned.
I don't know.
That guy's a fucking head case.
You or him?
Me.
Yeah.
You know,
I love the fist. You clench your own fist and look down.
I don't even realise I'm doing it until after it's happened either.
Oh, God.
Anyway. Well, what about my heart happened?
Yeah, so sometimes people get attacked by animals and that's really shit because animals, like, they understand what they're doing and it's bad.
As we discussed, actually, that's how you get your inoculations from tigers.
Yeah, that's the good part though, is that if you've been attacked by a bear once, it's like chicken pox, you don't get it again. So if you've got like one mark, it basically inoculates you against future bears. So they'll go for you, but they'll just slide right off like you're made of Teflon. So that's good. But the downside is
always used to go for like different picnic baskets, or maybe why people didn't go back to the same parks. There's a fucking
because he murdered them. Bears are fucking. They're like 800-pound killing machines. Bears are terrifying. I once I was like.
I've drank so much.
I was on my own, obviously, and I
saw this light in the sky, and then I woke up in a field and my bum hurt. That's a UFO story, isn't it?
That's one of them. And I was like, I was on my own. I was a bit sad, and I was a little bit drunk, and I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna heroin. I wish. And I was like, I'm gonna.
This is a very strange episode.
I was like,
for us,
I'm gonna.
Happy 1 month anniversary, guys.
Woo! 1 month, baby. And I was like, okay,
Crack out the heroin.
I'm gonna watch a bunch of videos of bears, and then I went way down the bear rabbit hole, and I was like watching bears fighting each other, horrifying.
Yeah.
And then I was reading about bear attacks on humans, horrifying. And I
absolutely.
and I wound up sitting there on my own in my room with the lights out, scared of bears. And this was a few years ago. I was about 18. Yeah, Betty cat.
Yeah.
Barely a cat.
Well, it's not. I think bears are more closely related to dogs than they are to.
I don't know. They're kind of their own thing. Feline, ursine, canine.
Yeah, they're
Sheepine.
What?
What's the one for sheep?
That's not sheepine. You see, there's bovine, equine.
Ursine, it's bears.
Yeah.
Canine, dogs. Feline, cats.
Leprine.
What's that?
Asinine.
Leprine. What?
Asinine.
Yeah.
Haha!
That's a Pokemon. It's not.
No.
Leprine, Leoprine or something like that is rabbits.
Oh yeah, that's quite cool.
Yeah. What is
Sheep. Hoofy woolly iron.
Well, what are goats? Because they'll be the same genus, aren't they?
I don't know.
I would imagine so.
We get into biology. Here's our esoteric knowledge segment.
I'm
The Latin word for sheep, I don't know it's Latin, is sheepine. Or it
It's
is
not sheepine. It's. I swear I know it as well. It's.
No one tweeted
I
us.
tell you what, lupine is wolves.
Yeah, like Professor Lupine.
Yeah.
Professor Lupine.
As if that's not his name. Like
Lupine. That would be in the American Harry Potter. That would be his name.
lupine.
Hey, I'm Lupine. Hey, kids, you gotta learn
It's Uncle Nicky.
You gotta learn to defend against the dark arts, you know? I'm Lupine. Professor, you can call me Piney. I'm also a werewolf. Ah, shit, shouldn't have said it. Ah, no. Oh, jeez.
Okay,
Lord,
so this is what I've got as information. Sheep. Sheep.
Sheep the sheep.
The sheep Ovis aries is a quadrupedal ruminant mammal typically kept as livestock. Like all ruminants, sheep are members of the order Artiodactyla.
I thought we had it.
The even-toed ungulates, although the name sheep applies to many species in the genus Ovis, in which
Ovine.
ovine.
It's ovine,
That was weird.
I think.
No, it's Ovis aries.
It's ovine.
It says Ovis aries. Doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's a different thing. That's like more specific. So canine, ovine, ursine, there's like within this kind of thing. So you have felines and then different kind of felines.
So what's the ein part mean?
Ein means.
I don't know. Right, so
I'd have called them a hoovy woolly. Or
this is why you're not allowed to name things.
or a fluffy woolly. Or a land cloud.
I can go with land cloud. Right, so shall we read out some of the things?
Is it question time?
I think it is question time.
Question time.
Question time.
Billie Jean.
Ba, ba,
We'll have a look at my Snapchat first.
Ghostbusters.
I really wish I hadn't checked them all on Snapchat earlier because now I need to remember them.
Should screenshot them.
I can't do that on my phone.
No, that's a total cock move.
Yeah. Oh look, now my phone's crashing. I'm gonna have to wait a minute. Did you get any?
I'm just checking Twitter. I can check your Facebook as well, eh? What is Grandma Dimps?
I don't know.
Katie Whalen? Are you a real person?
So this is one of the messages I just got. I think that's quite interesting, but I don't think that's relevant for.
It's
right
not really
now.
spooky.
It's not spooky. It's very interesting though.
Yeah, no, that's something we can certainly follow up on.
Yeah, I will check that
Oh,
out
this
later.
is just someone who went to Oxford. That's not important.
I'll actually reply to that in a bit. Let's get on the other thing. Oh, my phone's bloody crashing.
What's the
Hang on, I'll have a look at my Twitter.
I'm just saying that if anyone's listening and being like, these guys are amateurs, maybe if you messaged more stuff, we'd have more to talk about.
Yeah,
This is your fault, audience.
actually, well, to be
There's
fair,
a
the
lot of blame to go around.
The second half of this show has been a little bit of a shitstorm. Lack of content, lots of laughing.
1 month anniversary.
Yeah. So, yeah, my phone's like having a shit fit.
While you do that,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think my house is haunted. This is a spooky. Yeah, because the last woman that lived in my house, fucking, what was her name? I mean, if she is haunting me, she's probably pissed off that I don't know her name. Margaret? Maggie? Ivy? Jane? Cottrell. Her last name was Cottrell, or it wasn't. Mrs. Cottrell. Anyway, and she died in the house in the room that is now my bedroom, actually. And sometimes, like, I think partly because I'm a little bit crazy, and I was like kind of, you know, anxiety and whatever, and it was undiagnosed at the time. But whenever I used to come back from uni, I used to get the sense of like really like, oh, I'm being followed up the stairs, everything's creepy, like doors are opening and they shouldn't be. And I don't actually believe in that stuff. It's kind of fun. And then I kind of brought it up once to my family, and my mum's sister kind of does believe in that stuff. She does
what bullshit?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. She's not smart. She like hangs out with I don't mean that. I'm sorry if anyone's listening, and they won't be. She like, you know, believes in that stuff. And apparently, when we first moved into the house, and my younger sister Katie, who's okay,
okay,
she's a good.
What, Katie Ryan?
Yeah, she's a good egg.
Yeah.
She shut up. She apparently, when we first moved in, just would sit on a bench at the end of the garden talking to herself. So she would have been about like 6 at the time. And apparently one time, my mum's sister went out to her and was like, Katie, who are you talking to? And she's like, oh, I'm just talking to the old lady. Ooh. Yeah, fucking weird.
I did get a message. It is unrelated, but it says, don't forget the clocks go back on Saturday night, so we all get an extra hour of getting absolutely cunted.
Yay.
It's got a picture of Ed Sheeran being in a real state.
I hate Ed Sheeran.
Actually,
his music, weirdly, I'm fine with it. I think some of his pop music, fine, don't mind. It's just him, like...
This is another unrelated message. Oh, hang on, here we go. So...
Is it tonight the clocks go back?
Yeah.
That's pretty spooky.
So hang on, there's...
Or it's not. Question time.
Okay, so here's... Unrelated, but here's some pictures of some floating orbs, if you can see those.
Oh, yeah. They just look like lights.
They do look like lights. So this is what I've got. I won't say who it is. It says, I believe this is the Tom Thumb Theatre in the Margate area. That's where those floating orbs came from. And I spent the night at Dover Castle, which was awesome. While I was laying down playing games on my phone, when I felt a presence standing behind me. My phone then started messing around and freezing. It was not normal at all for my phone to be doing this. Get a new phone.
I'm just thinking, I haven't got... so I've got 3 comments. One of them is something that probably does, that I actually did, but that probably, from my friend's perspective, was a bit creepy. I got really blackout drunk. We were in Florence. And
you're pretty fucking creepy when you're drunk. Like, you get really weird. Like,
yeah.
You know when you get to that level?
Yeah, when I'm blackout, yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't been blackout in like a fair while, actually. Like, but anyway, this was a bad time, and this is like, if I get blackout now, it's for only for like maybe an hour, but it used to be much worse. And I basically pissed on his clothes in bed while he was asleep, and he woke up and discovered his clothes were covered in piss, and broke his own hand punching a cabinet. So from his perspective, pretty spooky stuff. I just felt bad about it. My friend Noah says there's a closed metal shutter on my street that only rattles when I walk past it. It's a quiet street in South London. He never touches it. It just seems like there's something behind it, but he hasn't launched any investigations. Fair. Just ignore it. Don't ask questions. If you're in a horror movie, if you think you might be in a horror movie, listeners, don't go looking for it. Don't be like, oh, I wonder how much horror I can test. I wonder if maybe I should go camping. Just don't. Just be like, fuck it. Just go about your life.
Fuck this.
Do the one thing that you'd never see in a horror movie. I don't know what that is. Eat porridge, something like that. Go to work.
Oh, hang on. I think I've actually got some... Oh, God damn it.
I've got a comment here.
Oh, no, I do. I have some stories.
I'll just read my last comment.
Okay.
This is bizarre. From Sam Fricko. He's an Australian basketball who goes by the name Mr. Fish. And he's pretty good. He's really good at what he does. And his comment just says... I'll try and read it in his voice. So he's... You're right, boys. I'm Mr. Fish. He's quite fun. He goes, I'll take your Matilda and raise you a Ziggy, born Wednesday. May they dance around and have postmodern diatribes about Dora the Explorer together. XXOO.
What the fuck?
I think he might have meant to post it on someone else's. Also, fun fact, Mr. Fish was also Hamilton Fish, No, Hamilton Fish was the Foreign Secretary under Ulysses Grant in the 1870s. Mr. Fish was a different Mr. Fish, not this busker, who was one of America's first serial killers.
So, I read you the Weird Light one.
Mr. Fish.
Did I read this one on the air earlier? The one about the dead kid?
No.
No, you know the one... No, I did read... Did I read it on air? I read it out.
Which
earlier.
one? Oh, no, you didn't.
Mine is actually something that happened to me when I was about 14. I was staying at my dad's house. My bedroom was on the basement level and everyone else was on top. Was up top.
Everyone else was on top of me. Real hard to breathe. They were all just lying on top of me like a big old dog pile.
By dad's house, I actually mean room. There was one... Well, there was a box. You know what? It was alright. I couldn't sleep and then I heard two girls running around the house giggling and whispering. I thought it was my sister and stepsister, so I got up to tell them to be quiet, but for some reason I was overcome with a feeling that said, don't go up there. So I went back to bed and fell asleep. Eventually in the morning I said to my sister, why were you and Mia running around the house last night? To which she replied, I thought that was you and Mia. Then we both just looked at each other and were like, fuck, bro. Her version was that she heard the same as me and got up to look, but over the banister she couldn't see anything, so she went back to bed. As she felt too scared to go downstairs. My comment on that being, "Do you have a dead sister?" She said no, but my dad's house is really old and it was the first built on our road. Loads of other weird things happened in that house. I said, "Do tell." She said he had a studio in that house, and one time I walked past, all the lights were off, and I heard someone like pressing buttons and moving things around. I went to get my sister so she could hear, but it had stopped when we got back. One time I saw a woman walk up the stairs out the corner of my eye. We also always used to hear footsteps run down the stairs, but no one followed the noise. It was freaky, and as we got older we stopped seeing and hearing things, which I think is interesting in relation to how some people say kids are susceptible to the supernatural. Despite all this, I'm still sceptical. I just want to put my 2 cents and say kids aren't susceptible to the supernatural. They just don't know science.
They're just stupid.
Yeah, basically.
Take that, all our child listeners.
Which I hope are none. Jesus Christ. That's some bad parenting. Okay, I've got one more. I was crashing at a mate's house a few years back, wintertime.
Crashing my car at a mate's house.
They lived... I haven't read this one out either. They lived in a very old cottage out in the villages between Sandwich, Thanet and Canterbury. We were sat on sofas facing each other, but only I could see it out the door to the kitchen and hallway. The lights used to have minds of their own, so I wasn't surprised to see one flick itself off in the kitchen. But I was surprised to see a man walk out the kitchen. It stopped me mid-sentence. They asked what was up as I took a moment to think if there was anyone else in the house. There wasn't. I've just seen a man in double denim. That's horrifying in itself. Sorry.
In fairness, this is for a costume.
Sorry.
I do often wear double denim, but usually they're not quite the same shade. This is for a costume, going as a spooky zombie cowboy.
I've just seen a man in double denim walk through the hallway without missing a beat. Oh, we think that's my dad. We see him doing the gardening sometimes.
Oh, that was me.
That was just you.
I did used to... is that the end of the story, sorry?
That was the end of the story.
Okay. Scary. Spooky. I did used to...
I saw a ghost once.
My story's about denim.
Okay.
I thought, because I wear a lot of denim, amazingly, we thought I could be a superhero called Denim Man. And
Denim Dan.
His origins are that his origins are that he fell in a vat of molten denim, which I then found out is not how denim is made. But he fell in a vat of molten denim, and he now has ill-defined denim-based superpowers. But it gets darker, so like he can't control his powers, and he accidentally kills his family. And then every time you see a scene where Denim Man's been there, there's all these people with like just like bits of denim hanging out of their mouth, and they're all dead. And yeah,
Denim dead.
Denim
dead.
Denim.
Damn Denim Dan.
Damn Denim Dan. So yeah, that's my story. You got another one?
Yeah. So last year I was.
This is the old house.
No, I was just off doing something. I was actually actively looking for ghosts and getting drunk.
Cool.
And
Can we do that?
Pluckley. Yeah, I was in Plug. Oh shit! Should we do a should we do an Alex and Alex go on tour and we'll go look for ghosts?
Yeah.
I think that's actually a really good idea.
And we can sing Ghostbusters as we go.
Just the whole time. By the way, I walked about 15 kilometres and I saw one irritatingly on the same road that my hotel was on.
Ball Lake. Okay, anyway,
So
go on.
much
Where's
ball
Pluckley?
Just past Ashford.
Okay.
It's quite good to get drunk in too.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think I've still got a Pluckley ghost thing. A ghost tour.
I like it that you would just pull out like a haunted doll or like a, you know, I've got this thing from Plugly, and it's like an old box, and you open it, and it just you hear screaming.
Like,
It's a souvenir from the tour.
have you seen how to undo Velcro without it making a sound?
No.
It's this chap who's it's like I was taught this by an old US Marine. Taught me how to, because obviously Velcro makes that sort of noise. So he's just like, yeah, so I'll show you how to do it, and this way they will never ever hear the Velcro opening. And it's actually, if I'm honest, like I didn't hear it. I was genuinely sort of impressed. So just imagine I've got a piece of Velcro, and when you want to it makes the, which obviously in the dead of night, in an army sort of situation, you know, that could be the your life or death sort of matter. So basically gets to the side and just goes, ah!
I knew it was going there.
And to his credit, did not hear it. Did not hear the
fair. If you could make it sound like an animal.
Exactly.
That's too quiet.
You're also sounds like a crocodile.
I guess it will scare any nearby ghosts.
I have no idea what.
Or Taliban.
Like, clearly.
What do crocodiles sound like?
Yeah, so this...
I'm a big old croc. Snap. That's not the sound.
Snappy snapped it. Billie Jean.
Any crocodile listeners, please.
Billie Jean.
Call in.
We'd like to hear you on the. I was going to try and make a crocodile pun, but
No, I got nothing.
No,
Anything?
Crocodile in.
How the fuck did we miss that?
I didn't. I got it.
Good.
Anyway, so I saw a ghost. I was fucking pissed off. I just walked 15 kilometres with a friend of mine at the time, and just on the last bit, I didn't see a fucking ghost. This is bleak.
I like the idea of it's just like a kind of fat ghost sitting there, like with his middle fingers up, like, you just walked 15 kilometres.
Well, that's the thing. We actually, as we were walking the last little bit, the person that I was with grabbed me and was just like, look up. Because I was obviously pissed off and like looking at the floor and shaking my fist and talking to myself. So that's a thing that I want to do. And I look up, and there's no word of a lie, there is a fucking hulking character walking towards it. And I mean, massive.
No.
Dude,
fuck.
for real. Seriously.
No.
100%. Like, we are talking wide, like that wide. Easily that wide. And like 7-8 foot.
Fucking hell.
Right?
What did he look like?
The whole thing was
Other
just
than big.
the whole thing just in black, and it was distinctly the shape of a human, like arms out like this, walking towards us. And I was just like, at first I was just like, it's just a person. Like, granted, we are in an incredibly creepy place.
Where were you?
We're in Blackley.
Is Blackley just inherently?
It's the most haunted place in the UK.
Oh, fucking A, let's go there.
You know?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's got a place in it called the Screaming Woods.
I like that though, because I like the idea that it's not scary. Like, you're there on a beautiful summer's day, and these trees are just going, ah!
It's like all over in Velcro, isn't it?
Ah! Like, you're just wandering around the woods, you're like, yeah, the woods, it's a nice place to live. Like, to hang out. It's just all these trees screaming. It's just all these trees just.
My neighbours must fucking hate me. Anyway, so and we see this thing, and I'm looking at it, and as it's walking towards it, it didn't get like incredibly close, like the length of my house away.
Right.
So like, if I was standing there and like it was up there when I saw it, walking towards us.
Like other end of the street type thing.
Yeah, and well, not quite that far. It's like close enough that I could see that it had features. Do you know what I mean? And as it's fucking walking towards us, its head sort of like moved sideways a little bit, not like as jaggedly as I just did that, but like sort of just like
drifted.
Yeah, like a fluid movement.
No.
And then as we get closer, the whole thing just disappears. Just
No.
like right in fucking front of me.
No.
I don't believe in
Fuck
ghosts.
that.
Like, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in
No,
ghosts.
me neither, but it's
But-
fun.
It's fun and it's weird.
100%. And the thing is, like, I've told people this story before, and they're just like, "Oh, well, it's obviously just like a tree branch hanging down or something." I was like, "No, there was a sign. There was a sign like behind it."
Yeah.
But the fact that I knew how wide it was is because of like the thing was in front of the
So
sign.
if it's that haunted, a lot of people go there.
Have other people reported a similar ghost?
What the fuck is that?
It's not mine.
No, that's me.
Mine just ran, to be fair. Have other people reported a similar ghost though? Anything? Because like,
Not there.
what I like is when the stories are like, you don't read them beforehand, but then you read them afterwards, and you're like, fucking hell, there's a lot that's similar here.
That's the thing. This place, it's virtually a ghost every fucking 20 meters or so. Like,
Can't move for ghosts.
yeah, like they're fucking
Riddled with them.
riddled with ghosts. That was a good sentence that I just... Tautology, yeah.
I always liked that about ghosts, where, like, as soon as you die, your goal in life just becomes to just fuck with people a little bit. Because I think I would definitely do that. Like, ooh, I'm moving your mugs around. Ooh, closing your door.
I've taken all of your socks, but only the one. I've undone your shoelaces whilst you were walking.
Exactly, just shit like that. Like, that's probably the best evidence for it not being, like, other spirits. It's just humans. Like, because humans are...
I've got that one other story.
You got one more?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. So this one was... I got sent a Snapchat from someone that lives in America. Terrifying. Anywhere that's got a history that's like a younger than the pubs in Canterbury. Terrifying.
I love America.
Yeah. Anyway, so there was this chap who went to go have a couple of joints with his pals in a graveyard.
Oh
yeah. In Maine, which is where
Maine Stephen King country.
Everything.
New England is like real American ghost country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of his mates decided to go and like sit by one of the gravestones and just started fucking around. Right, not like touching them or anything. Just started like messing about. And then apparently
he walked over the graves, didn't he?
Yeah, is that what it said?
They said he was like in front of the gravestone.
Yeah.
Because I don't do that. Like, I don't necessarily believe in this shit. But it's like, why fuck with it? Why risk it?
Like, why chance it?
Why bother? Also, it's just disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, they don't care. Anyway, so walks past them or whatever, and then apparently, like dominoes, 16 of these gravestones fell down. That's pretty fucked up. That's pretty strange. Like, shit. Billie Jean.
Good stuff. Okay,
yeah,
that'll do it for another week. We're happy 4 weeks.
Happy lunar month. Make it more spooky.
Woo.
Lunar spooky. Spooky lunar.
The moon's pretty spooky. Spooky lunar. Okay, so I'm on Twitter as AlexTRyan27. The podcast will be up as Alex and Alex Podcast on SoundCloud. We'll also post it on Twitter and on Facebook and everywhere where good stuff happens. My Facebook name is just Alex Ryan. That should be easy to find, other than the fact that it's 2 first names and they're very common. But like, if you can find me, go ahead. And we're probably going to set up a Facebook page for the actual podcast at some point soon. Because we want to be able to kind of get more content, more questions and answers
on our personal pages.
Yeah, exactly. We will promote it still on our personal pages.
Yeah.
And the podcast's email account is alexandalexpodcast@gmail.com. So we would love to hear
from you. We'll also be putting this on. Did you say we're putting it on YouTube?
Oh shit! Yeah. I think basically also one. It'll be up everywhere. We also have a YouTube channel.
Fucked up like what we listen to on. They're like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've realised they're like.
You've been logged in on our account.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Oh no. That's okay.
It's just really, really weird videos like Barry B. Benson saying you like jazz like 4 billion times.
Okay, so we've got to get that stuff up, and your things on the internet are.
Yeah. Okay. So you can find me on Twitter at Alex Velis Poet. Same thing on Instagram, I believe, or Alexander Velis or Alex Velis. I can't remember which one it is. Snapchat is Alex Velis. Now that sounds like a weird thing to say, but it means that I can put out a blanket message to everybody and ask them for what they want to talk about and things like that. Also, my Patreon is www.patreon.com/Alex Velis Poet.
And we put like things up on there. Like this goes up earlier. Plus, you get cool other stuff that only you get.
Yeah, you do get exclusive content, is what it's getting at. So then obviously check out the SoundCloud, check out our YouTube. We've got a couple of radio shows that we're going to be on in the next.
Coming up soon. We'll post these about them, but there'll probably be a couple of things through CSR and stuff like that.
A couple of, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hang on, there's one other thing. Oh, so that's it. So Alex and Alex are about to start doing live events in which we run open mics and things like that. We'll both be hosting. So it's just open mic, got a headliner, music, there'll be musicians, comedians, poets, basically any form of performance artistry that you can think of.
Yeah. And
if you come down, check it out. If you're headlining, then
we're currently looking for a venue. As of next week, we should be able to announce more.
But
so watch this space, and it is exciting. We're moving up the road. Oh, and Roman French of AF Films as fuck, is the camera magic filmy man, and he's real good too.
Editor, that made it sound like Skeletor.
Editor.
Love it. Okay, is that it?
Yeah, I think that's
it. All right, bye.
Bye.